we starting?
Yeah.
Okay. I would say that in my lifetime, I've evolved to be the person that I am now. I would say that I'm not shy, that I'm pretty outgoing, that other people have opinions beside myself. And so, it's very important that you listen to people. I think when I was younger, I didn't do that so well. I enjoy people. I enjoy activities. I love to be involved. I'm high energy, curious, a self-starter, motivated, type A personality, a little bit on the over the top in terms of neatness and things. But I think one of the things that I like most about myself is I've become very compassionate and have a lot of empathy, which I think sometimes takes a while to develop, and in me it kind of did, because at first it was all about me and everything. But as you get older, you kind of liken it to being seasoned. So life has seasoned me. I've always loved to dance, and so like in high school and junior high, I was on the drill team, which I dearly loved. And then I loved to sing, and so I did concert choir in high school. I was always in the church choir, and I was in musicals in high school. But one of the things that I'm doing now that I enjoy so much is that I joined 2 years ago the Prestonwood choir. And so that brought back that love of music again, and I absolutely love that. I mean, it's just like a highlight of my week is going to that on Wednesday night and then singing on Sunday. I love to go to plays and musicals and movies and just spend time with friends. I have a dinner group that I go to, so I always want to be on the go and doing something. I love to read. So my mom, she was born on January 16th of 1921. She went to high school with my dad, but they didn't date or anything. My dad was born July 17th, which is today, of 1920. He was a big man on campus, big personality, captain of the football team, basketball team, track, tennis. He played everything. And he was all city, all district, and all state, and all of those. And so they knew each other in high school, but they didn't date. And then when my dad was getting ready to graduate at the University of Texas, my mom was on campus and he saw her walking. And so he said, well, I'm going to give you a call sometime. And she said, okay. After the war and everything, they both were living in Houston, and my dad called my mom and they started dating. And they got married on December the 2nd of 1948. We did a lot of family things. We'd go to Galveston every other weekend. Living in Houston, Galveston was so close. My dad would grill out every Saturday night, and so we'd have hamburgers or hot dogs or steak or chicken, something like that. My mom was a great homemaker. She was a stay-at-home mom. She later worked in life, but she was a stay-at-home mom, and so she would have these elaborate birthday parties for us. I had a Hawaiian party when I was 8 years old, and she decorated everything in the house. She had streamers in the house coming down from the ceiling. She would always decorate her table. So like if it was going to be Thanksgiving, she would start a month ahead, and she would iron all the linens and do the placemats, everything coordinated. It would take her about a month to get that table together. It was really something. So in honor of her, I always keep my table set. It just reminds me of her, that of how she always used to do her table. As far as parents, they were incredible parents. I remember they were always so supportive of anything that I wanted to try, and they were strict in terms of they had rules of the house and you needed to follow them, and I just loved and respected them so very much. My dad and my mom both imparted to me of how important it is to treat others kindly and to be self-sufficient and independent and stand on your own 2 feet. My dad would say, if you're not willing to do the job well, you shouldn't really do it. It's a waste of time. And so he said, make sure when you do something, you put all of your effort into it. And I can still hear his voice in my head saying that. So I always put utmost effort into anything that I ever did. I never was afraid to go out and try something new. And if I failed, I failed. But if you didn't try, you never knew what you would like. And so I did travel a lot. One of my favorite things I did was 23 years old, and 3 other teachers and I went to Europe. And we stayed in hostels and backpacked across Europe for 6.5 weeks and saw 13 different countries. And I was fluent in French at the time, and so we went to France, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Luxembourg, Spain, Italy, England, I'm missing some of them, Belgium, all over. We stayed 2 weeks. And by the time I left Italy, I was fluent in Italian, because Italian and French are both Romance languages. And so I was able to understand, and that was a trip of a lifetime. I will never forget that trip. I paid for it all myself from all the money that I made babysitting back in the day and working part-time jobs. So I went to Texas Tech University, and I majored in secondary education with a French and English specialization. That was from 1971 to 1975. So I taught English and French, and then I made $7,000 a year. And so I basically couldn't support myself. And I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I wanted to try to get in the business world. So an advertising agency was looking for a copy editor, which was right up my alley. And as I grew into that role, they started needing more and more people to be account executives, particularly on American Airlines. And so at the time, they put me in a program where I was actually at the agency, but for 6 weeks I went to each department and I learned everything I could about advertising. So that's how I got into advertising. And then from there, I stayed in advertising until Cody was born in 1986. And I decided that while I loved that job, I loved him more, and I just couldn't do that job and be a good mom. And so I stayed home with him and worked permanent part-time out of the house and got to be with him. And then Laura came along. Being pregnant is an experience, but it was a wonderful experience. And then having Cody first, Cody was gorgeous when he was born. He had a head full of hair, and I remember the nurses coming in and they were just oohing and awing over this head of hair baby, and they all called him Baby Elvis. And he had his first haircut at about 3 weeks because it just kept growing, and it was long and long and long. And Cody was very active, and as a newborn, the most he slept was 6 hours at a time. And so I would try all the things that they tell new moms to try, and none of them worked. And so I'd be like, oh, I was so tired, and my mom would come over and help me, and my dad would come over and help me and stuff. And we just all fell in love with him. He was so cute and real curious about everything, and he was very neat and tidy. And at night before he went to bed, he would line his trucks up in order of how big they were. So and I thought he was going to be an engineer, because everything had to be precisely the same distance apart and all of that kind of stuff. And then I got pregnant with Laura and had her September 1st of 1989. So I was so blessed to be able to have a boy and a girl. And Laura was also just a beautiful baby and had blonde hair and blue eyes. She was a laid-back baby, and she was fully entertained by her older brother. And so she would just laugh at him. She would follow him with her eyes and all of that. And she would sleep. And Cody still wasn't, Cody did not sleep through the night till he was 4 years old. So when he had his 2 kids and they didn't sleep at night, I was like, it's called payback. Payback time. But so having kids has been the greatest blessing and challenge of my life. I did not do things perfectly. You wish you could go back and change things that you did, but I wanted them to know how much they were loved and wanted, and there was no sacrifice that I could ever make that wouldn't be worth every second, every minute, every monetary value of it, because they are the greatest blessings. And now seeing them as adults is just like successful, wonderful adults who are contributors to this planet is just the ultimate. There's just no way to describe it. So, they are my loves.
Do you have a favorite memory of us as kids? One that you...
Yeah, I do. How about the time I was gone and Cody and Laura decided to look for Christmas presents? And I had them all wrapped and I thought hidden in my closet where they weren't really supposed to go. It's my closet. Well, it turns out that Cody initiated it, of course, and Laura went along with it, of course, that they unwrapped their Christmas presents. And before I got home, they proceeded to wrap them back up. And I did not notice. They must have done a really good job, because I did not notice that they had gotten into the presents, only to find out later that they knew what all of their Christmas presents were. So I guess, I don't know whether that was a good thing or a bad thing for them. I was disappointed because nothing was a surprise. I don't think they ever did it again. I don't remember how old they were, but old enough to know better. That is the biggest memory I have. And then I remember we had to have slumber parties. And so one time I made these cookies, chocolate chip cookies, and Laura had her friend Megan over. And they were eating cookies. And then I came up and I said, oh, do y'all want some more cookies? And they said no, which was kind of unusual. And later I found out that I loved it. I always wash my hands and stuff for germs. So I guess I had overwashed my hands and I did not rinse them enough, and so the cookies tasted like soap. So I got the nickname Mama Soap from that, which is my Instagram name, Mama Soap. I guess my main hardship or heartache, I would say, is the fact that my sister has special needs, and she's 3 years older than me. And I know that I had, I'm gonna cry. I know that I had a really hard time as a child, where she ended up having to go live in another place, because back then there were non-inclusion programs, and she has the mental capacity of a 2-month-old. And so I felt so guilty about that. Why was and is my life normal and hers isn't? And so still to this day, it's very difficult for me, because I gladly would have given her a lot of my, I don't know what to call it, normalcy, so that she could have that kind of life. But I know that she'll be in heaven someday, and that she'll be made new and everything. That's my greatest heartache. Oh yeah, I do. I regret that I didn't take the time to slow down enough to enjoy the moment, and worried too much about, is the house neat? Is it straight? Is everything perfect? Because I am a perfectionist to the nth degree, and so I've really been working on that I do that. I regret the person that I married. However, my greatest blessings came from that. And so I try not to harbor that. And I passionately, with all my heart and soul, love my kids. And so I wouldn't trade them for the world. So, I just don't dwell on that part of my life. We have a great family, and we're small, but we're mighty, and we love each other. And so it's all about, you can live with regrets, and you can have heartaches, and you can have disappointments, but it's really about moving forward and trusting in God. Really, the greatest thing that God gives us is our family. And so having that, and having God and Jesus in my life, and just trying my best to follow the tenets of the Bible, have made my life so much better.
How have you changed over the years?
Oh, I think I've become a lot nicer. I hope. I still have my moments, but I think when you go through your life and you start looking back on it, you realize a lot of the mistakes that you made, and I think you kind of soften your personality. It's not necessarily it's my way or the highway type attitude. You start understanding that each human being has their own unique perspective of the world. It's not about necessarily my perspective. Again, I follow the tenets of the Bible, but the Bible calls us to love each other. So I feel like I've softened my personality. I'm getting older, so I'm not quite as active as I used to be. Like, I'm not going to go skiing anymore, or things like that. But anyway, I like myself now. I think I'm very solid in who I am. When you're a teenager, you have no clue who you are. When you're in your 20s, you think you know everything because you went to college. In your 30s, you're getting your profession underway, and you're after like the next great job and the next great thing that you want to do. In your 40s, you kind of go, there are a lot of people older than me, and there are a lot of people younger than me. It's your middle age, and you start thinking about other things. But now I can honestly say, in your 50s, 60s, and now being 71, I look back on my life, and I can see that not one, you are a package of all these wonderful things, good and bad, that have happened in your life. And so all of these things, every person you've met, every friends you have, wherever your journey has taken you, you are the culmination of that journey. And so you have all these different things that have molded your personality, that have made you more and more content with life, which is where I really am. I see material things as that they're material things. I don't have to have something else. So I'm totally content. I have this really cute little house that I built in 2014 of 1,300 square feet, and it's just perfect. And I'm very content. You're not after the big house and the big car and what kind of clothes do you wear and who's wearing what fashions and all of that kind of stuff. It's more about the lifetime relationships and the adventures that you have and the experiences that you have. Oh, I hope I'll be missed, but I hope that I'm a good memory. I miss my parents tremendously. And it was really difficult at first, but now I know that I can feel their presence, and I can hear their voices in my head. And I hope I'm missed, not for people to grieve me, but to reflect that they knew that I loved them, and that will never change, and that we'll see each other in heaven. But I hope to have left a mark like that that my kids and my grandkids will say, she loved us. She loved us. She loved us. And will know that they are my greatest blessings, and always consider that.